Cannibalization numbers that I give you are going to be especially severe right here because you are closer. All the numbers I've been giving you are county-wide. But in fact, the damage gets concentrated right where we're sitting. We are in the epicenter of the damage of what we're talking about here. And then there's some other things that the business does not assume. You know, other chains are thinking like DDR, Walmart, Mervyn's. They have expansion plans. That could throw a little bone into the projections there. What's going to happen as we enter a national recession? The country is filled with dead malls that have been lost because developers had unbelievably optimistic assumptions. And that's, frankly, what I think is likely here. There's a growing movement, particularly in this county, but it's all over the country, of so-called locavores, people who are waking up to the impacts of buying local, and they are going to conscientiously avoid these chain stores. And that movement is likely to spread. And the chains have some probability of breaking apart. Sounds implausible, but think of what's happened to Sears and JCPenney just over the last 10 years. Here are the stocks of Walmart and Home Depot between 2002 and 2007. I stopped measuring mid-year. It would be a lot lower now. Both stocks have lost ground in nominal terms. In real terms, they've significantly lost ground. Investors are starting to realize that these so-called indefatigable big boxes are bad bets. And that's why you should recognize this too. And there's other things that make them bad bets. This little graph here is the price of West Texas crude oil between 1998 and the present. Even DDR's economists would have to concede that the price of oil is rising. Well, okay, that's bad news for some people, but it's good news for your local economy if you take advantage of it. It means that local production linked with local distribution and local stores is going to become increasingly competitive against Walmart production 15,000 miles away in China coming here. Even, by the way, if the labor were free in China, which just about is, because the distribution costs, the transportation costs, are going to outswamp those labor costs. Now, of course, climate change is going to raise the price of oil further as we begin wisely to slap green taxes on oil, and that will raise the price of the chain store innards even higher. And consider that as the dollar falls, that also is bad news for chain stores, because we're going to be importing less and local producing a lot more. So these are all factors that take a very wobbly set of chain store actors right now and threaten to deteriorate them down the road. That's why I want to argue, point 3, that a worst case is possible. I was introduced to this mall earlier today. This was your first foray into chain stores. It stands as a kind of monument to poor decision-making right now. An empty building, and this is truly possible with this new kind of mega mall that you're considering. And think of if this mega mall is built, and the first couple of years the performance is dismal, DDR walks away from it, the other anchors walk away from it, and you got all of these empty store spaces. You don't get any of the economic benefits. You're saddled with a bunch of costs. You've got a sprawling eyesore that was supposed to be a driver of your economy, but now is a major cost of plummeting property values. And you've got an ecological problem too, because the cars that were there for a few years had oil and other kinds of runoff that have created a mini brownfields there. This may sound far-fetched, but I'm trying to give you all of the reasons why this possibility has to be seriously weighed. Now, the fourth argument I want to make is a non-economic argument, and that is that this proposed project is in absolute contradiction to all of the work you people here have done to vision what you would like next in your economy. The County Board of Supervisors said that any big projects like this would require consistency with visioning that was done at the grassroots. So there's this nice document. I know many of you put hundreds of hours into working on this with others in Mendocino County. Ukiah Valley Area Plan, Community Planning Process. I want to just read you a couple of the principles here and see if these principles sound like the DDR proposed project. Principle 1, sound, stable, community-based economy. We shall promote business development and employment opportunities, emphasizing local ownership of businesses in order to keep capital and growth in the community. Aesthetics and planning and development, principle number 3. We will ensure aesthetic qualities in the design and construction of the community. We will establish design review guidelines to maintain and enhance the visual character of the valley. Visual character of the valley and 3 big boxes. I don't think so. Principle number 5, small town rural character. We will conserve agricultural lands to enhance economic vitality and the sustained identity of Ukiah as a rural agricultural community. No. Number 6, infill and mixed-use development. We will promote infill development, that means development downtown, to maintain a compact urban form and protect underdeveloped valley land. This project is exactly the opposite. Exactly the opposite. Principle number 7, accessible amenities, services, and facilities. We will strengthen downtown Ukiah by promoting civic, commercial, and cultural activities and facilities. No, we will destroy downtown Ukiah by moving the nucleus of activities even further away from downtown. Principle number 10, community connections. We will ensure that there is an ongoing process of community involvement for the purposes of providing input and monitoring of the success of the area plan. We will engage citizens in planning and policy making, continue to reach out to underrepresented community members, share all available information with members of the public. Well, ask yourselves this question. If this project were put up for a public vote, would the opposition be at 70% or 99%? I don't know what the answer is, but I know it never would win popular buy-in. And, you know, that's why this whole thing is in such contradiction to all of the work that was done in this visioning document. Well, the last point I want to make is this. There needs to be a better approach to economic development. I am a pro-growth guy, and that's why I oppose this project. This project is the antithesis of growth. A pro-growth approach to the economy would focus laser-like on the locally owned businesses that we know are the key contributors to income, wealth, jobs, and taxes in this county. We would plan by doing what DDR did, but I don't believe very honestly, with leakage in retail, and you would do it across the board in every sector to figure out how you can improve the self-reliance in all kinds of business categories. And here's the interesting thing. We focus, in all of this discussion on retail, but retail is only 7% of a typical economy. The other 93% of the economy is services, agriculture, banking, transportation. We need to focus much more holistically on all elements of the economy and not get tripped up on these big retail turkeys. We need to focus on training of a new generation of small business entrepreneurs. We need to create business alliances of local businesses so they can compete more effectively against chain stores.